Scott Corporation, and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Who is happy that it's Friday? TGIF. This is a Friday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Obviously, we are joined off the top by another wonderful basketball coach that we are welcoming in as part of our kind of basketball previews here in the preseason. It is Amy Harrison, the head coach of the Middle Ridge girls basketball team. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Thank you for having me.
Coach, I mean, first and foremost, we asked you a little bit off air this question, so I'll repeat it too. How's the initial looks of the team too? How has the banter been between you and the team, getting your basically first chance of seeing the team almost at full strength now?
Really good. We everybody was very excited. They're ready to play. So we got in our first week of practice. Like I said earlier when we spoke, the volleyball team went to district finals. So we had 7 girls on that team, 2 girls for soccer. So it was really good to get in the gym, and they're ready to go. I have a lot of athletes, and we're kind of young, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun year.
You know, in those first initial days, you kind of take the time to lay out the goals and what the team wants to accomplish. What are some of the goals that you guys have set this year that you want to see this team kind of accomplish as the season goes on?
Yeah, we kind of came up with the saying, it's build with trust, lead with confidence, and play as a team. So just getting the mindset of, okay, now we won here, let's bring this over, and we're going to attack and go at this season for basketball the same way. Just basic drills, very strong defense is our biggest goal with the athletes that we have. We're really focusing on our defensive game.
And talking about that too, who are some of the players that you're expecting to be kind of big role or big impacts, I guess, on the team, as well as some of those role players that are going to be younger players that are going to get some significant minutes down the stretch?
I have 3 juniors that have come. I have Olivia Booth, Danielle Grazier. I have Ava Hewlett, Sam Aulette, Tegan, and there's a bunch of them. Ava and Olivia are going to be big step outs for us. Ava is a freshman. Olivia is a junior. Tegan and Isabella, they played last year. They had a lot of playing time last year for Ridge, and they're back, and they're big defensive players. So I anticipate a lot of that. Just learning, finding roles. I'm big on, you have a role, and we're going to find what your role is, and that's your job. I think it helps the girls to understand and feel part of a team when they know what is expected of them. And that's kind of with my freshmen. It's like, okay, you may not be a big scorer for us yet, but we're going to put you in a position defensively to be active, and then that will come with it, part of the game, you know.
And they always say defense can't slouch. You can't have a bad shooting night on defense.
That's right. That's right.
When you look at what the defensive mindset is and the goals on defense for this team, what do you think are going to be some of the things that we'll see out of this Middle Ridge defense?
Pressure. We have a lot of speed, some decent height overall, and just pressuring the ball, hand in passing lanes, and offensively, I want to run. I'm a run and gun, a lot of rebounding. Also, that's another biggie for me. We're rebounding. We'll figure it out, but it's going to happen. That'll win us some games for sure.
I like the running gun. That sounds exciting.
Mm-hmm.
For those who may not know about Amy Harrison, give us a rundown on what gave you the passion for coaching and what brought you here before your career before Mineral Ridge, and what kind of brought you to this program.
This program, okay. Let's see. The love of basketball. My dad taught me how to shoot. I was taught how to shoot the right way at a very young age. I had great coaches. I had great teammates in high school. We had a lot of success. And honestly, I've been coaching something since I've graduated from high school. I went into college. I started coaching at Mineral Ridge, the 7th and 8th grade, and then it progressed to JV. And then when I had children, I started coaching softball. I coached that for years. And then when I went to basketball, as soon as basketball could start, 3rd grade and up, I've been coaching. And then I started a volleyball program in McDonald 2 years ago. And I just kind of had a lot of things happen in my life. And we were kind of like, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to take a break from coaching. And we were moving and things were happening. And I got a phone call, and it was my coach, and a lot of people really interested and very supportive and wanted me to take this job. And I couldn't pass it up to be back home with my friends and family. And I'm coaching a lot of the kids that I played with their parents, and it's exciting. I'm glad I took the opportunity, and I can't wait to see what comes of it. It's going to be fun.
Like you said, it's a journey back home. What's it mean to you to be able to coach a program that you obviously care so much about, even if you weren't coaching it, and you kind of have this almost like it's your baby? Like there's a little bit of extra care that goes into every decision you make. What's that kind of like?
Oh, stressful, because you want to do the best that you can, obviously, and put the girls in the best position to win and succeed. It is kind of like, I don't know. My dad, like I said, my parents graduated from here. He went to state, was like the first football team that went to state. And I could go through it's nice, like, to be able to go in the gym and you have all those posters up there and you say, well, that was my dad. That was my brother. That was me. Okay. That was my brother. Like, let's bring it back. Let's bring it back. And let's put up some new numbers, some new years, and have some success and have fun. I'm super excited. And like I said, my daughter is here with me, and my son moved to this school with us, and I'm hoping to bring something here for her as well. And all the girls, obviously.
I mean, no doubt, too, with a very young team full of athletes that have already experienced success in other sports, it has to be exciting knowing that, there's only one way to go is up for this program right now. How exciting is it that you can kind of build the fundamentals and the skills of basketball in there with the athlete portion already being done for most of your girls? Oh,
well, I have to say it's always a good it's always wonderful to walk into somewhere and have some athletes, because sometimes there's just things that you as a coach can't coach, but to have natural athletes like that, it's very nice. The 7th and 8th grade programs before I got here were really working with the girls. So they had a lot of success in the 7th and 8th grade teams last year. So I'm getting those freshmen, and we're going to have a good 7th and 8th grade team this year that are going to be competitive, and just getting the 3rd and 4th graders involved and having little team camps. And it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a good time for the next couple of years. It looks good. It's looking good.
And man, when we talk about your schedule and your conference that you play in, if you had to pick a first year in the conference, it might as well be this year. All these kind of big names are gone. League seems kind of wide open a little bit.
It does.
A perfect opportunity for a team like you to make a run. Talk about the conference and your schedule and some of the teams that you're looking forward to playing.
I think you make a great point, because a lot of the teams Jacksonville, always competitive, great coaching. Western Reserve, same. McDonald, same. It's always competitive, but there have been this last group of seniors that have graduated. Really does kind of open up the league for us. We have a tough start with Newton Falls is going to be good. Garfield. I'm hoping we can jump out quick, but seeing how the year has started so slowly, we got a couple more weeks, and just want to get them ready to go. And I think across the board, if we're hustling and we're competitive, we'll be in the games. And I think we could definitely pick up some wins along the season. And I think once they have that success and the more comfortable they become in their roles, we'll see more success. And obviously the goal is to be hitting your stride halfway through towards the end of your season to go into tournaments. So I think it's wide open.
Obviously exciting times coming into your kind of alma mater, your baby for your coaching career. So looking at this, what is the culture you're trying to build for Mineral Ridge, and what do you want it to mean to be a Lady Ram at the end of the day?
Pride is a work hard, having pride, and bringing back a tradition. We have rivals with McDonald and rivals with Western Reserve, and picking up on that and saying, let's go. This is ours. We can win in volleyball. We can win in basketball. We can win in track. We can win in cross country. We can win. Let's go. Let's do this. And we have enough athletes in this school, and there's a lot of athletes, and let's pick up on that and be respectful is also a big, keep your head up, trust each other, become a team, work together, and let's go win together. It's important.
And when you talk about this community and the support that the not just you guys, but the whole athletic department kind of gets, you have one of the best student sections that we've ever seen. Unfortunately, last year we couldn't see that student section because of COVID, but you still got that golden megaphone poster right in that student section wall. Very nice. And it's there for a reason. What's it going to be like to have that crowd back and to be able to feed off that energy?
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to get in the gym. I can't wait to get the games going. I have to say, we've always had such a great student section for years. And there's nothing like going to a game and having that backup, that on your side cheering for you when you're having a tough game or you're down, they're there, they push you. It's going to be exciting, and it'll be great for the girls.
I kind of want to give you the chance and opportunity now to give Meet the Staff segment too. So shout out your assistants and all those big proponents that are going to be helping you out along the way this season.
Okay. My assistant coach, my JV coach will be Coach Darren Garris. Big, huge help. He coached me when I was in school, and I'm so excited to have on my staff. Coach Jen Culp, she also played when I played. Super smart. She's coached other schools. Big X and O's. I'm super excited to have that. I have my old coach, Mr. Polstaway, coming in, helping out, just being there just to give another point of view. And I'm real excited. We're ready to go. It's going to be fun. That's all I can say. I can't wait.
We can't wait either, Coach. We look forward to covering you guys all season. Yeah. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today and give us a little bit of preview of your team. And I'm sure as the season goes along, we'll talk to you again real soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Amy Harrison, the head coach of the Mineral Ridge girls basketball team, joining us right off the jump on Running Point here, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. I want to take the time to remind you as we keep going, the comment section, also brought to you by Boardman Mitsubishi, is open. Whether you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or Twitch, make sure to leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. And obviously, as always, you can call in at 330-886-0813. As long as you don't make a high screeching noise, I'll hang up on you real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. As we're going to get you some double barrel action with girls and boys basketball right off the bat. We had Coach Harrison on. Now we're going to have right into Coach Bornemus for Hubbard boys coming up here very shortly. And then after that, voice of the Cardinals, Richie Giuliano, going to be tuning in and giving us the Cardinal side of the preview of this Hubbard-Canfield matchup in the football realm.
I'll tell you, you talked about him, and he just popped up like he knew.
I spoke him into existence onto the show.
So we're going to let Coach Bornemus in as he sits in the green room. And, Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Hi, guys. How are we doing today?
We're doing good. We're itching for basketball season, and we can't wait to talk to you.
Very good.
I mean, Coach, obviously, I'm sure there's some players that are going to be with the football team that are preoccupied with other things before basketball season. But looking at what your team and what you're expecting to kind of have this season, who are going to be some of those big names that you expect to have a lot of starting minutes, and some of those younger guys that you think are going to get some role player assignments and get some minutes down the stretch?
First of all, we want to wish our football team a a positive night tonight. We're actually giving our guys off tonight. If they don't want to come into practice to go watch the game, I think it's very important that kids stay involved with the high school end of things and to get out there and support our team. Looking at our team this year, we got 3 kids coming back that had some good varsity experience last year. We got Riley Heckert coming back. We got Logan Bates coming back, and we got Caden Lowe coming back. Those are 3 guys that got a lot of minutes for us last year. They're seniors this year. They bring a lot of leadership, had great summers. I think that they'll help our younger guys out. We got some juniors. We got Nicky Hendricks, who's playing football. He comes back as a junior. He was a starter for us last year. And then we bring up a couple kids that I think will help us out as sophomores. We got Levante Daniels coming up. Levante had a great summer. And then we got Gavin Ribicki, bigger kid that also had a good summer for us also.
When you look at trying to evaluate what you're going to look like and some of the things that you're going to be able to run, styles you're going to be able to play, but you're trying to do that without having a lot of your kids yet. What's that kind of like to kind of try to really prepare and use these couple weeks that you have before the season, but also, wait for the other sports to finish?
It's funny. We had a parent meeting and, Nick Hendricks and Levante Daniels, especially Nick, he goes to football practice and then he comes to basketball. Now he doesn't practice with us, but he's there, sees everything I'm putting in. He's a very smart kid. I think that those guys will blend in perfectly. We're putting in a little bit of a different style this year. We're not real big. Besides Caden Lowe and Gavin Ribicki, we're not real big, but our bigs can run. So we're going to try to play a little bit of a upper tempo. Our goal is to get into the 70s this year. I think we could do that. But I'm not too concerned. With those football players coming out, I don't think they'll have no problems blending in. This is my 3rd year with this program. And we kind of stick to the basic principles and practices and how we handle things and what we expect from the kids. I think they'll blend in pretty quickly.
This is obviously going to be a very exciting NE8 conference this year with competitive basketball, I think almost each and every night between the teams. Talk about your schedule a little bit, how excited you are for this NE8 slate of games for development for some of these younger guys and for some of the seniors as well as some of your out-of-conference games.
There's no easy Tuesdays and Fridays in this conference. There absolutely isn't. Every game you got to be prepared. We play a sequence where we go. I think we go Struthers, Poland, Gerard, and somebody else in there. Somebody else that we throw in there. So we play back to back on the road.
Coach Boynham has froze a little bit. Freeze frame.
Camel, who's going to be, I don't know if you guys know about Camel, but they got the 2 kids back from Akron Hoban that left for a year. They're going to be pretty strong. So, there's no easy nights. We understand that in this D2 division. I think it's one of the best districts around when you get into tournament time. If you could play competitively every Tuesday and Friday, I think you'll be okay on the outcomes.
Coach, and obviously looking at your schedule too, we know it's going to be great for developing your players. What is that one thing that you're hoping to improve on from last year going into this season, primarily for the team?
Well, I think last year we shot too many threes. I think we got comfortable on playing behind the line. And I think it hurt us at a period of time. We challenged our kids this summer to be physically on the rebounding end. And I challenged them to get to the hoop a little bit more. This team, in all the years I've coached, is probably one of the most unselfish teams that I've been around. They really look for each other on the court. And I think that's one of the key things. I'm not saying, our backcourt with Bates and Heckert, Riley, and Nick Hendricks, might be one of the best in the league. And I'm not just saying that. Those kids have worked hard for 3 years, and they know my system. They know what I expect. And when you got a good backcourt like that, it really helps your team. And we're not telling those kids don't shoot the three, but we're telling them don't settle on the three. That's a big difference. When you're coaching, sometimes we settle on threes and we actually have driving lanes to get to the hoop and make the defense commit a little bit onto us so we can make the next step. I think that's the biggest thing. Is attacking the rim a little bit more and then taking those shots when they're available to us.
Like you said earlier, it's the third year with this program, and I always like to see coaches get into their third and fourth year, because then you really start to see the development that they've had their hands in. You really get to see the kids that they've had for 2-3 years really start to develop. Is there a more of a sense of a pride with these kids that you've had for 3 years now when you see kind of them starting to buy in and them starting to get what you're trying to teach them?
Yeah, of course. Practices are easier. Last year was kind of tough for everybody. I mean, it was a tough, we played one in a sequence last year. We played 5 games in 6 nights. I mean, you just don't do that on a normal basis. And those weren't easy games. It just was a tough year. We were in and out of practices. We were shut down twice because of COVID. So, you never really got into a good flow with anything. But no excuses, put out there. The third year going into this, the kids are more prepared. They understand the drills better. They know how to get into things easier. And then that makes it easier for us if we want to implement some other things, other schemes into our game plan once we face opponents. So it really helps. These are just a great bunch of kids. And the younger kids are jumping on the shirt tails of the older kids, and and it just goes down the line. We're having a basketball camp for our young kids now. We got 80 campers there. I mean, we're trying to just do some better things.
We know the Hubbard faithful are diehards, and they're going to be supporting every Tuesday and Friday night anyway. But if anybody's on the fence of showing up to watch this team, what is kind of the sales pitch to come out and catch this boys team this season?
Our philosophy this year is, play unselfish basketball and be pesky on the defensive end. And we really do that well. I think that these fans, when they come out and they look at us on every Tuesday and Friday or Saturdays when we're playing, I think they're going to see a little bit of appreciation on how these kids play the game. My one thing to these kids, I always tell them, it's what you put into the game and what the game gives back to you. If you don't put a lot into it, you're not going to get a lot back from the game. If you put a lot into the game, it gives you some good things back. And, they've worked hard for 3 years and they really deserve a good year. They really do. I've been doing it a long time. The wins and losses will come for us, the coaching staff, but I really, these kids really deserve it. And, I think that that's what they'll see. They'll see aggressiveness. They're going to see, if a kid's got to get in for 45 seconds or if he's got to get in for 3 minutes, that boy is going to play hard when they're in there.
Coach, we've had the chance to meet your players, but I want to give you the chance to highlight your coaching staff and the assistants that you have with you that help make this program what it is. I still have the same assistants the last 3 years. My son, Michael, is the JV coach. Derek Kopanik is the volunteer assistant. And then we brought another kid in that played for Gerard a couple years back, Adam Conley.
Adam, when I was at that Gerard for 1 year as an assistant with him, and Adam was just an unbelievable defensive hawk on things. And, I started talking with him, and, he has a passion for the game. And I brought him in to help me out with the defensive stuff. And he's really helped out. So, we basically got the same guys around.
I wanted to ask too, with you guys basically keeping your same staff year in and year out, what is the biggest thing you've learned? I mean, it's been a short tenure, of course, with Hubbard, but what's the biggest thing you've learned about yourself as a coach with this program since you've started until this point now?
Well, it's nice having young kids on your staff. They could get in there. They could get in there and mix it around with the boys too, if we need them to get in there. There's been a lot of, I guess the biggest thing, there's been a lot of coaches that's coached under me at other programs that are now head coaches. We got a guy that's a head coach of girls at Howland. I got a head coach at Matthews girls. There's another guy at Lordstown that's the AD and the head coach of girls. So, that shows that, they learn a lot from me also. I think they find out that it's more than just coaching. There's more out there than just coaching. It's, having the kids believe in you, whether it's in school, whether it's out of school, whatever it is, meetings, all that stuff. And I think that they see the whole background of it. And I really think that, some of these guys, when I move on, when it is, hopefully not for a while, they'll take those same reins and want to get into the head coaching position too.
Coach, before we let you go, I want to know one or two things that you want your kids to kind of take away from this program when they leave it, and things that you'd like to teach them outside the basketball court. Well,
first and foremost, it's the school. It's how you handle yourself in the school. And I'm very proud, when I look back in these 3 years, and, not everybody goes to college, and I understand that. A lot of kids go to trade school. They go off to work. They make their own decisions, and we inspire that. I inspire that as a head coach. Whatever you're going to do outside of basketball, once you leave the Hubbard program, do it to the best of your ability. And when I look back at how many kids have gone to college and, are in their second, third years and doing extremely well. And even the kids that are in trade schools, and even the kids that are working, my point to them is always carry yourself like a young man, always be honest, and just do the best, whatever you can, in whatever field you choose.
Coach, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show and joining us for this edition of Running Point 2. And I'm sure we're going to be talking with you and your program again real soon.
Hey, you guys, I just want to give you guys a shout out. You guys do a phenomenal job. I mean, you're always on point. You've always texted me, if I have any questions, if you have any questions for me. And, you guys do an outstanding job. If I can help you with anything, if the Hubbard program can help you with anything, please don't hesitate to call me. And a shout out to that. Was it Romo who did the last game against New Philadelphia? He had did he have the basketball hoodie on?
Yep.
Yeah, I got to give him a shout out for putting that basketball hoodie on Hubbard basketball.
Oh yeah, you guys got a great set of announcers out there as well, I'm sure, and they love the program as well as we do as well. Love covering you guys.
And
if I could do anything for you guys during the season, just let me know, guys.
Thank you, Coach. We look forward to talking to you again.
Okay, have a good day.
You as well.
Coach Joe Bornemus, what a guy to have on Running Point. What a great two coaches to lead off the show.
We have great coaches all around this area too, and I mean we've had a great fortunate amount of coaches the last few weeks that we've gotten an interview on this show too, and it's great to hear from all the area coaches and all the area programs and just get them some exposure as we bring in another area legend but it's not from the Hubbard area. This is across enemy lines now as Canfield territory now. Richie Giuliano tuning in now. How you doing, man?
What's up, boys?
Let me make you. I almost made you blue, Rich. I got to make you red.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Make me red there.
You're not blue.
So, Richie, I guess the first question I'm going to ask, we had Romo on yesterday to kind of give us the preview of the Hubbard side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, looking at this Canfield, the most impressive thing I've seen all season is the defense. Mm-hmm. Is that going to be the key point around this this game going against the Eagles for the Canfield Cardinals to come out victorious?
Yeah, I think it always is, Ty. And, every game they've played, I'm going to throw out a quick stat early in my entrance here. Canfield has only given up 9 points in the first quarter this season, just 9. And I think that's going to be a big key to victory for Canfield tonight against Hubbard. Hubbard, of course, has T.C. Caffey, one of the best running backs in the state of Ohio. But Canfield's defense has been just so stout all year long. They've pitched multiple shutouts. And like you mentioned, Ty, I think that's going to be the biggest key for Canfield to win this football game tonight. Their defense, who's been able to produce so many 3-and-outs and keep that offense on the field.
Richie, I know you know this, and anyone that watches football kind of knows this. Defending the wing T, triple option, whatever you want to call it, that Hubbard runs, is just a lot different than trying to defend your base offense. You're not reading and reacting like you do. You have to really stick to your discipline, your assignment. Watching Canfield's defense all year, and this is a different challenge, how comfortable are you that they can kind of switch the mode on defense, and instead of just being completely react and go and chase the ball, now it's strictly discipline assignment football? How do you think they'll do with that kind of change of pace?
Yeah, I think you make a good point there, Ant. And they learned their lesson big time last year against Chardon, who ended up winning the state championship. Canfield didn't see an offense like that, the wing T, where they throw a lot of motion at you. They run a lot of misdirection, and they have a lot of guys that could stretch you out. So Canfield definitely learned their lesson last year with the wing T offense, and they learned from that this year. They played Marion Pleasant earlier in the year, who also ran a wing T, and they held them to under 20 points. So I think they're going to continue to adjust to that type of offense. And like you mentioned, the key is going to be the linebacking crew for Canfield. Whether they can read the football, they're going to be able to attack the line of scrimmage. Toby Smith is a big key factor today, as well as Ryan Schneider, two of the linebackers for Canfield that are really going to have to make good reads and crash to the football.
Toby Smith versus TC. Nick Colosimo's taking Toby, and Toby Smith he's a beast as well too. But we talk all this talk on defense, Richie. We got to mention Brock Lowry on offense and how incredible this young man is. Only a junior as well too, already with offers. Talk to me about how dynamic he is as an offensive player, as well as how much of an X factor he's going to be not only in this game, but if Canfield is to advance future playoff games.
Yeah, I mean, what Brock Lowry is able to do offensively is, incredible. The way he's able to deliver the football, accuracy, precision, and he throws a hard football, man. When you're able to watch him in person, I mean, the way he airs it out is phenomenal. He's able to throw off of his off shoulder as well. And, another thing that really impresses me about Brock Lowry is his ability to read a defense. They run a lot of read option, and, he also has a lot of yards on the ground as well. When you think of Brock Lowry, you think, he's going to throw for over 1,500 yards, but he's close to 1,000 yards in rushing. He did that last year as well. He's a dynamic dual threat quarterback that could do it both in the air and on the ground. And moving forward into the next couple rounds, of course, against Chardon, if they win, I know Romo didn't want to guarantee Chardon to win, but I might say that they're probably going to win this football game. He's going to be a big key factor. And, last year he had a tough game against Chardon, threw a pick, had a couple turnovers, but, he's learned from his mistakes. He's matured. Talking to him on Wednesday at Coca's Pizza, that's one thing that he emphasized. He's matured and learned through a lot of his mistakes in the past. And, he's going to be a big impact player for Canfield moving forward. The ability to deliver the football on time and his precision is just key.
You got to talk to him this week in the player profile, the franchise. You can watch it on ysnlive.com. When you're speaking to him, this, from your perspective, get the sense of what kind of leader he is, how well spoken he is, and what kind. He's just a stand-up quality young man.
He is. I mean, he's a great kid, just a junior as well. That's the most surprising thing, the way he talks, the way he acts. Very humble kid, doesn't say too much, but also says enough. I think that really says a lot about Brock Lowry, his character, and just a great kid overall. I mean, comes from a great family, an athletic family as well. And, He's really taken advantage of the opportunity that he's been given here at Canfield when he was the starting quarterback in week 4 last season.
Talking about what Canfield's been able to do this season, obviously they 10-1 up into this point. Looking at their schedule, scheduling a lot of opponents that they hadn't faced in a long time, opponents such as Fitch, as we've seen too. It was a long time, a gap in between. How effective do you think scheduling up this year has played for Canfield going into this playoffs now?
Yeah, it's going to be huge, Ty. I mean, when you look at Canfield's schedule this season, you mentioned Fitch. You got to talk about Dover, who's a top 3 team in the region. And, of course, you mix in a couple other teams. Boardman, who's a division above. That was a close game in Week 10 where Canfield was able to pull out a 13-7 victory. And, they mixed in a lot of good non-conference teams this year. And then you got to play Notre Dame Cathedral Latin last week in Week 1 of the playoffs, who's always in the regional semi, it seems like every other year. So I think their scheduling is really going to help. They played 2 teams that are a division ahead of them, and they mixed in a couple of great teams as well. You got the Battle of 224 back with Poland, who's a great team out of the NEA. They're going to be tested this week. As we know, that's going to be one of the best games on YSN. So, their schedule is very tough this year, and I think that's going to play a huge role, knowing that, Canfield's learned from mistakes in the past, and they've also been able to squeeze out a couple very close games, which is, key because you teach this young team how to win in close situations. So I think Hubbard and Canfield is going to be a really close matchup today. And if it comes down to the fourth quarter, I think Canfield will have that edge where they know how to win in these type of situations.
One thing that you kind of get when you watch Canfield, they're a team that knows how to win the clutch. We saw in that Boardman game. And then they go into the playoffs last week.
Both
everyone thought this NDCL game was going to be a really tough draw. Big team plays a lot of big teams themselves. And Canfield just comes out and dominates this game. The only time NDCL really moved the ball really well was their first drive, and then it stalled. How impressed were you with that game, and how much do you think it gives them momentum moving forward?
Yeah, we were kind of blown away that in a first-round playoff game, Canfield had their second team out there to start the third quarter, and that's always impressive. But like you said, I mean, they bended a little bit the first couple of plays against NDCL, and, that's when Coach Niddle and I kind of looked at each other and say, we're probably going to have a pretty good game tonight. But the defense buckled down, and they forced 5 3-and-outs after that. So Canfield took off from there. Brock Lowry opened it up with a 93-yard touchdown run, and just like that, it was 21-0 at the end of the first quarter. And I'm like, man, they put this away quick. But that's what Canfield could do to you. And, I think that's something that Hubbard is going to have to take advantage of tonight. They're going to have to come out in that first quarter, and they're going to have to put up some points, because if they don't, they could fall behind 14-0, 21-0 in the blink of an eye. That's how explosive and quick this offense can be.
Yeah, talking about it, I guess from that reverse perspective, I guess no one's been able to do it, and there's, I'm sure, game plans out on how to try to contain and stop and slow down Brock Lowry. But you got to figure it has to start with penetrating that offensive line, but that has, again, been so good this season.
Yeah, I think you bring up a great point here, Ty. In week 2 against Dover, that is how Dover beat Canfield. They brought pressure all night long. Their front 4 on defense was phenomenal. I mean, they're 4 against 4. Dover won the battle. Coach Pav told me that on Wednesday, that he think his offensive line has really matured since that second week of the season against Dover. They only have one senior on the offensive line. That's their left tackle, and Nick Bowen. So a lot of sophomores, a lot of juniors who had to learn through experience in the early part of the year. And they were definitely tested with the Dover team, with a Poland team and their line. So they were able to mature over this season, and they're acting now as juniors and seniors here in week number 12. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think for Hubbard, the key is they got to bring pressure. That's really the only way you could stop this offense.
And you talked about Nick Bowen. That's another player profile, by the way, you can go and watch on ysnlive.com, presented by Coco's Pizza. Talk a little bit about talking to him and what you got from that interview and the sense of what kind of kid he is.
Yeah, another big leader for Canfield. As I mentioned, the only senior, and talking to him back in week number 2, actually, when they were set to play Dover, the one thing that really stood out to me when talking to Nick Bowen is he didn't care about his own individual performances. He even said this in the quote, that the only thing he really cares about is being a leader and teaching the younger guys how to play the Canfield style of football. And, that really stood out to me, stood out to Steve, Leslie, and Quinn when we were all there at Coca's Pizza. Just a stand-up guy, another guy that wants to be a leader, wants to see his teammates succeed, not just himself. I asked him what it meant to him that he was first team all AAC, and he gave a lot of the credit to his teammates instead of talking about himself. So another stand-up guy there that Canfield has, and another big team captain for head coach Mike Pavlansky.
Must be exciting times in that Canfield community right now, knowing that a lot of these players presumably going to be returning next year too. So the ceiling obviously has not been met for this Canfield team. How much better can this team really get, do you think?
Well, I mean, it's tough to judge now because you do lose a couple key pieces. You lose your running back and Michael Crawford. You lose your best cornerback and Oliver Kovas, and your best receiver and Drew Carosi. But like you mentioned, they do bring a lot back. You bring back your starting quarterback, your backup running back, and Ryan Schneider, as well as a key wide receiver, Jake Schneider and Danny Inglis. And then, as I mentioned and alluded to a couple times here, their offense and defensive line is going to be now experienced coming back next season. So, yeah, I mean, the future's bright in Canfield for football. And, talking to Coach Pavlansky, his second team has been out there 6 times now for a complete half. So that is valuable experience that these younger guys are going to bring to next season that, a lot of teams don't get the opportunity to play their second team and sophomores and freshmen at a varsity level game in a whole half. So I think they have some advantage there.
And you can attest to this because before that Boardman game, one of the worries I had was, man, Canfield hasn't had to play a full football game in a long time. What's going to happen when someone pushes them to the fourth quarter? Boardman did it. Canfield made enough plays to win that game. Yeah. But is that still something that you think is in the back of their head where this Canfield first team doesn't have a lot of end-of-game reps where they have to make clutch plays? Or do you think everything's going to be smooth sailing even if Hubbard pushes them to that point?
Yeah, I think that's motivating for this first team because there's been a couple of games where they have not been able to complete the shutout, and they've really relied on the second team to close it out. And, there were some games where they were able to do that, such as New Philadelphia beat New Philly 35-0. But then there were other games against Cheney and East where second team came in and they gave up a touchdown or two. So I think it's motivating for this first team to go out there and say, you know what, we're going to do this ourselves tonight. We're going to pitch the shutout. That is something that Canfield's defense really prides himself on is, getting a lot of zeros on the scoreboard at the end of the game. So I think it's a motivational thing for this first team defense.
Richie, before we let you go, I want you to pick this game, and then we'll also let you pick the playoff games for the week. So I'll just run down them, and you can just go and pick these games. So what about this Canfield-Hubbard game? What do you got?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good one. I really do. The magic number for Canfield all year is 35. If you look at their schedule this season, it almost seems like every game they're winning 35-something, 35-0, 35-14. So I'm going to predict 35-21. Canfield's going to come out victorious.
All right, Fitch and Hoban. This is going to be a tough one for Austintown Fitch. They're going up to Akron to play the Hoban Knights. Who do you think comes out on top in this one?
Yeah, this one's tough for Fitch this weekend. Ty, I know you're going to bring it all to the broadcast, and hopefully Fitch could go up there and get the victory. But I just think Hoban's a perennial powerhouse in the state of Ohio for a long time, and I really hate picking against Fitch here. But I'm going to take a 28-21 Hoban with a close one. All
right, Poland and West Branch. This is basically high flying offense versus Rock'em Sock'em defense. Who do you have coming out on top in the strength versus strength matchup?
Yeah, I think this one's going to be closer than a lot of people think. I think Poland's defense with Colosimo and a couple other leaders up front are really going to throw a different style defense that West Branch hasn't seen this season. I mean, their defensive line is just massive, and their linebacking crew is really good. But I think West Branch, their offense is just a little too much. I think West Branch is going to throw up 42 points, and I think Poland's going to throw up, I'd say 21.
So 42-21, West Branch rolls in your prediction. Salem goes to Ursulin and plays in the Ice Castle, right a couple of feet from where you'll be.
Yeah, you're right, actually. My plans tonight after the volleyball game, which starts at 6, I'm hoping that I could get to Canfield by the second half and able to get on the sidelines and watch that one. But, I might have to stop over and watch the Salem Ursulin game if the volleyball game runs a little bit over the 8 o'clock period. So we'll see how that one goes. And I'm looking forward to this one as well. I think Ursulin wins this one in a very close game. I'm going to go 35-28.
Gerard, they beat the 12 seed they beat the 5 seed as the 12 seed last week. Now they play the 4 seed in Perry, still on the road. Gerard looked really impressive. Can they pull off another upset?
Yeah, and I think Gerard's schedule early on this season really helps them out. We talked about this a while back. Gerard played Streetsboro, who's another top 8 team in Region 9 in Division 3. So Gerard's schedule definitely prepares them for a Perry team, and I think they're going to come out with a victory. I'm going to go 21-14 on this one. It's going to be a little bit low scoring.
All right, Richie, we move to Saturday. Bel Air makes the trip to Garrettsville to take on the G-Men, who struggled for a little bit against their round 1 opponent, but did pull it out 28-13. What do you think about this time around, G-Men versus Bel Air?
I think the G-Men's offense is so specific and so hard to stop. You know what they're going to do, yet you still can't stop it. So I'm going to take the G-Men 42 to, I'm going to say it's a big one, 42-14.
All right, Crestwood makes the tough trip to South Range, trying to upset the Raiders, who are seemingly on a roll this year. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I think South Range a little too much for Crestwood here. The way they put it on last week was very impressive. South Range just continues to roll. I think they're on that journey and on that trek to take down Kirtland this season. So I'm going to take South Range in a 52 to let's go. I'm going to go 10, 52-10 bloodbath for South Range.
A rematch of a game that we are 0-2 familiar with. Brookfield goes to LeBray. It was 20-0 in the regular season, but I think Randy Clark was very adamant that their team did not play to their strength. What do you think about this one and the rematch between Brookfield and LeBray?
Yeah, there's a lot of history between these two teams, between LeBray and Brookfield in the past couple of years, especially in the playoffs. And when these two teams have met, it's been a high-scoring battle. So I'm going to take LeBray in this one, the number 1 seed, and I'm going to take them 52-45.
Ooh, high-scoring affair this time for these two teams. Springfield and we'll welcome in Norway, and we all know how this game went last year. Damian Romo will be on the call again. Do you see some magic again for Damian Romo in New Middletown?
I think Springfield actually controls this game. I was able to watch Norway in a little bit in week number 2, I believe, against Hubbard. I don't think they're as strong as they were last year, although Norway playing up against Hubbard, it's such a big jump when you look from the division. So I think they're still a solid team, but I think Springfield's able to control them this year. I'm going to go 28-14 Springfield.
Last but certainly not least, Cuyahoga Heights, who not upset, but did beat Valley Christian last week to move on. We'll go and travel to Warren JFK, our only Division 7 playoff matchup left. So what do you think about this one? Eagles welcoming in Cuyahoga Heights.
I think Warren JFK always heats up at the right time in their season. So I think they keep that ball rolling, and I'm going to take JFK in a 30-14 victory.
All right, Richie, those are your picks, and I thought they were pretty solid ones.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, you never know. I mean, anything could happen in playoff football. I think that's something that we've learned this year already. Like you mentioned, Gerard, who was a 12 seed, beating a number 5 seed. You don't see that very often. And, around the state, there's been a couple of number 1s knocked off, number 2s. So you never know when it comes to playoff football. It really all depends sometimes on, the conditions that you're playing in. There's teams that are able to throw the football around and it starts to rain and you can't throw the football. And then, how it goes in Northeast Ohio when it's freezing on 30 degrees in the regional semi. You never know what happens in playoff football.
I believe Jamie and Romo are making their first trip to Canfield to call this game. So what advice do you have for the enemy territory coming into your press box and calling this game?
Well, I mean, I think we have a great staff up there who's going to really take care of them. Of course, Ken English, who's the PA announcer, always very friendly, doing whatever he can to help you out. And then to their left is going to be the coaches for Canfield, and know a couple of them very well, with Coach Merritt and Coach Koenig, who was my head baseball coach. And then, of course, Coach Niddle, who's the head baseball coach now at Canfield. So they're in good hands over there at Canfield. But Any advice is, give us some love too. All right. I know they're Hubbard guys, and
I think some advice after all that would be don't show up in blue.
don't jump in blue. All right. Wear your YSN pullover. But yeah, I mean, show some love both sides. And, I know Romo has been prepared. He called me last night. We went over the pronunciation guide. So he always does a tremendous job calling games as preparation. He sent me his Excel sheet, or no, not his Excel, his doc sheet. He doesn't like using Excel. And he's prepared. I mean, he's got both sides covered. So, if there's a crew that I'd want to take over tonight for me in the absence that I'm doing volleyball, would be that crew.
Man, there is if there's anyone that has to replace Richie on a broadcast, I'm glad that it's Jamie and Romo. Great team. And don't worry, Canfield faithful, you'll be well taken care of. Might just get a little excited when Hubbard does something good.
A little bit. It's going to be a little different. They're not going to be used to hearing that much excitement when the other team scores, but I think it's going to be a great broadcast tonight. I wanted to touch on this before I go. We were able to implement that sideline reporter for the first time in YSN history with Mike Ackelson, who was previously a reporter for 21 WFMJ. Glad to have him on now on our staff with, the audible call. And now hopefully he'll be in a rotation of a sideline reporter on Friday night when he can.
I don't know where he'll be this week, but I am sure he'll be somewhere on Friday and Saturday. He loves it. And I love how you guys are trying to find him on the sideline with the camera work. There he is. Zoom in.
I know we were looking around because, man, he bounces quick. He knows so many people down there. It's unreal the connections that Mike Ackelson had, in his past with 21 WFMJ. So he's talking to everybody that he knows. We're trying to find him on the sideline, get a good shot for the fans back home. So we're not just showing the field.
When that action comes towards him, he gets out of the way pretty quick. He's got some moves.
Yeah, he moves well. He moves well. You can't miss him either. He's got that flashy white, quarter zip YSN pullover that he wears, and he's bouncing around. He's going out at halftime to get Coach Pav after the game, running on the field to get Brock and Pav. So we really enjoyed that experience last week. I think it brings a lot to a broadcast, especially when you could get the coach before the half and then player as well after the ball game.
And you guys were kind of the guinea pigs. Those were the first time we tried to do that. It went so well, and you guys are a big of a part of that as Mike was, pulling that off and using it well and timing it well. And when you went down there, I thought you guys did a really good job.
Yeah, appreciate that, man. It took a lot of work to get that prepared, and we did a lot of stuff behind the scenes, hoping that we were able to get it on the air. We had some trouble with some stuff, but we figured it out. We got there early, and it was just a great feature, and it's a lot of fun doing it up there in the booth. You're adding somebody to the broadcast. You mute and unmute them. You go down to them. You have a conversation. It's just a great extra piece, and I think the fans really enjoyed that. I got a lot of feedback on the positive side about Mike Ackelson joining the broadcast on Friday.
Richie, we thank you for joining us, and I'll tell you, that poster behind you gives me rapid flashbacks of TCOM at YSU. So I know you're in some kind of TCOM class or something.
I'm actually in this podcasting room that they just implemented here.
Oh man, they do everything when I leave.
Yeah, they've added a lot of stuff. It's really nice.
I left, they made that sports broadcasting complex, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, that's really nice. We got our own studio now, and it's all the YSN broadcasters out there, all the young ones. This is a great university to come to and really practice your skills to become a sports broadcaster. So I would definitely use our plug out there. I know Youngstown State has a couple ads on our network, so thank you to them. And, this is a great place for me to call home and a great university for me to get all my practice and learn new things about the broadcasting world.
Well, Richie, good luck on your call tonight. We are happy to share you when we have to with YSU volleyball. They have a good guy calling their games, and we'll be tuning in a little bit to you too.
All right, appreciate it, guys. Ty, go get them tonight, baby. I know you're going to have a great call.
Will do. Thanks, Richie.
All right, appreciate it.
Richie Giuliano, the man, the myth, the legend, the everything. Oh man, he's fun to talk to.
Yeah, absolutely. He's one of the best in the business for a reason too. So does a great job over there with YSU. We have to kind of share him, kind of like we do with Steve Leslie. Steve Leslie's is another one of those guys we share. Bob Scene Park has holds on Steve Leslie, but that's what I always say.
So does YSU football, by the way.
He's owned by the community. He's not owned by anybody.
He belongs to the world.
Steve Leslie is like a permanent free agent that just goes wherever he wants to go. It feels
And he is free agent for everyone else. He's our GM, which means he gets to let us be free agents. And he's
pretty much.
big part of what we are able to do at YSN. We couldn't do it without Steve. We got some comments on the comment section during that interview.
Wellsville versus Wellsville or Monroeville.
And that's going to be Saturday at 5:00.
Wellsville looked good. They looked good against Western Reserve, and I think ending that in 4 sets was absolutely impressive. And you know what? I think Presley Stokes is phenomenal. I think Wellsville can continue to roll, honestly. They've been a powerhouse all season. I don't see why they can't be stopped now.
I'll be calling that game on Saturday at 5:00. Obviously, it's been DJ's gig all year for Wellsville, but because Wellsville starts at 5, and obviously he's got somewhere to be at 7:00. So, you know, kind of a big game going on in Canfield for South Range versus Crestwood. So I'm going to be calling that game for Wellsville. I'm very excited to get my first kind of look at the Wellsville volleyball team as far as broadcasting. I've been watching them all season, so I definitely know how good they are. But first time being able to broadcast with Gary Altizer and the Wellsville faithful. They're going to have to stop Grayson Yoder for Monroeville. That's going to be the big name to watch out for the Eagles. She is just the second player in program history in Monroeville to have 1,000 kills and 1,000 digs. And she has the single season record for kills. And then she also has 42 kills just in their district tournament alone that got them to the regional. So she's going to be really tough to deal with. And Monroeville, obviously a strong program, but I think Wellsville has the kids to go up there and make a nice run at it.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's going to be an interesting game to see nonetheless.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun time in Strongsville. Boy, while we have the time, did we have a thriller of a match in Barberton last night. Crestview versus the back-to-back state runner-up Independence, and Crestview pushed that team to the absolute brink. And unfortunately, just fell a fingernail short in 5 sets. The scores were 13-25, 25-17, 17-25, 30-28, and then 13-15. Crestview drops in 5. But man, what a fight from the Rebels. They fought off 5 match points in set 4 to win it 30-28 before eventually falling in set 5, 15-13.
Yeah, it could have just been. I mean, at that point, it's not even like stamina that's the issue. It's just whoever came out at the top at the very end there. And like, you know what? You're not going to give any excuses, and I won't do that, because Coach Hours said if they beat us, they beat us because they're the better team on the court that night, and they were that night. You know, and it was close, 15-13 in set 5 that night. For that time, just a little bit by a hair, Independence was better.
When we talked to Coach Hour, one of the biggest things she said that she wanted to see improve from the last trips to regionals was mental toughness, not letting things fall off a cliff when things go bad. Man, Crestview answered the toll with that, because they lost the first set 25-13.
That first set was bad. It was a bad loss.
I think everyone was looking around, especially the Crestview faithful, thinking, oh, here we go again. Regionals, it's going to get really bad. They came back out and dominated set 2 in the biggest margin they've had in their wins, 25-17. It was great to see them do that. Their serve receive got a lot better after set 1. And I told you, this is one of the things that I told you, their block was going to be big in this game. And they had 16 team blocks. Abby Emsch had 9 of them. She was a problem for Independence. Absolute problem. The freshmen did not shy away from this regional stage.
It's unfortunate that the seniors aren't going to be a part of this team next year, but it's still a very young team in Crestview. And you know what? When you come that close to beating Independence, you know you could beat them now. And I think everyone in Crestview knows that they can, and they could contend with those big name teams. And I don't think this is the last we're going to be hearing about Crestview volleyball in seasons to come.
In the short amount of time I got to talk to Coach Hour after the game, she said, this makes us hungrier than losing by 25-6. Like, this makes us hungry.
I love Coach Hour's mentality as a coach too, and it's always on to the next one. And I love that short-term memory and immediately thinking about how it makes you hungry and moving right into the next phase of development for the team. Because that was a big step. Losing in 5 sets to a 2-time state runner-up is a big step in that program, and I think it shows and proves that they can contend with those big teams now.
When you lose that closely at that level, the feeling afterwards when I was watching the team and they were kind of hanging out in the cafeteria for a little bit, just trying to enjoy the last moments as a team together. Man, they were upset they lost. There was definitely tears shed, especially for the seniors. But there was a sense of pride that they came and they fought their absolute guts out and just came up short. I mean, it wasn't that they didn't show up. It wasn't that they played bad. It was just Independence made some clutch plays down the stretch. And I think that gave them a really big sense of pride.
Yeah, and I mean, if that's going to make them hungrier, they were 26-0 going into that night. So if you can imagine a Crestview team hungrier next year, more determined to get back to this point and finally overcome it and get to that next level and finally get to that state Final Four again like they want to, it's a team I certainly would not want to face next year. That's for sure.
So close. They were up 12-10 in set 5, and Independence scored 5 of the last 6 points to win it. It's
just going on those runs too. And Independence, you got to give them credit. They've been there before, so they had that little bit of experience. And it almost feels like you know those dynasties when they get close to being taken down. You almost feel like Independence is 2-time state runner-ups. This is a lot of these girls' last dance at it too.
They're trying to get that elusive state championship.
They want that ring before it. So this might just be one last year for Independence in the spotlight, and it might be Crestview's to take next year. But boy, oh boy, they let everybody know that they're in the building right now.
Right, and I'll tell you one thing. I think the difference was Independence did not panic in that situation. They were just like, we've been there, we've done that. They had played 5-set matches before this season. They've had a handful of them. So they weren't a team that was like Crestview had only lost 4 sets total coming into the tournament. Even though Independence was undefeated, they've lost sets. They've been in tight games. They've been in 3-2 matches. So I think at that point, down 12-10 in the 5th set, they took a timeout and they didn't panic. They came back out and they won that game. And props to Independence. They're a great team. But man, you got to be so proud of Crestview if you're a Rebel.
And like you said, just makes them hungry. When you're up 12-10, it was so close. You could taste that victory. You could smell it. It's there. And as a team that you're capable of doing it. And for all the young players that are returning, you know what the goal is next year. And I think they already have their sights set on next year for it. And hey, for all those younger players coming up now, the standard and what they're expecting over there with Crestview volleyball too. And like Coach Hour said, and they delivered on their promise. If they were going to go down, they were going down at the last second, fighting to the last second, and they absolutely did.
Brandon saying that Barberton is one of the best gyms in the area. Barberton's atmosphere is awesome. It's a great place for tournament volleyball and tournament basketball as well.
Yep, no doubt at all.
If you haven't been to the Purple Palace, you should go there. It's a fun place to be.
Yep, absolutely. I've only been there, I think, one time, and it was years ago. And I'd love to go back too, just to see what they've done. It's probably been close to like 8-9 years, I think, since I was last up there. So it's been some time.
So now that we have kind of gotten to the 1 o'clock hour, let's take a timeout, and then we'll come back and we'll start our playoff Friday pick'ems here on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com. and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends: shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, shop with confidence knowing we're ready to go the extra mile for you. With the largest selection of used vehicles in the Valley, backed by the Greenwood Advantage Warranty. Every one of our vehicles has undergone our own 126-point inspection, so it passes the most important inspection, yours. No other dealership has the extra inventory, gives you extra for your trade, and goes the extra mile for you. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
For a great vehicle and a great experience, come to Boardman Mitsubishi today. As always, our full lineup of Mitsubishi models comes with a standard 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Boardman Mitsubishi, your hometown Mitsubishi dealer since 1999.
Coca's Pizza, always supporting our community and our local athletes. Stop in on game day or score big and have it delivered right to your door. Check out our daily specials at cocaspizza.com. That's Coca's Pizza, we serve it hot.
At Hubbard Chevrolet, Hubbard can help you get the financing you need regardless of your situation. I'm Tony Page, and I've helped thousands of customers in Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania buy a vehicle. Visit HubbardChevy.com to get pre-approved. Remember, folks, Hubbard can help.
You're not waiting to see what the world has in store for you. It's more about what you have in store for the world. All you need is the opportunity. All you need are the resources of a large university and the advantages of a personalized academic setting where you can experience new worlds in the arts and sciences, business, and education and make them your own. We are where you shape your future. We are Youngstown State University and proud.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig alongside Ty Bartell as we continue on this Friday, wonderful Friday afternoon. Ty, it's time to do our playoff pick'ems for the week, and we've done something a little bit different this week. We started something that we, on Twitter. You can go to our Twitter, which is at Running Point YSN. And we have polls for each game. So you guys can pick with us. If you're not in the comment section, you can pick with us on Twitter. And on Monday, we'll see how the fan vote ended up faring in the playoff picture.
Yeah, exciting just to get fans more involved too with the social media pages too, as well as the games, as keeping the eyes on all the games around the area.
So we'll start off with Canfield versus Hubbard. And right now, the fan vote has Canfield winning 74% to 26%. Canfield is up in the fan vote. Ty, I'll let you start this one off. How do you think this one is going to kind of shape out?
I think Canfield's just been impressive all season long. I mean, dominating victories over teams such as New Philadelphia, over teams such as Fitch. I mean, there's been a lot that this Canfield defense has been able to do to shut out some very high-flying offensive opponents week in and week out, rather. With the exception of that Dover game, they've held every single opponent under 20 points, and these are some quality offenses that they're doing that to. So if that gives you any insight on what Canfield's defense is this year, it's absolutely incredible. On the other side, Hubbard, though, TC Caffey's been a real deal, and every single week he's been putting up impressive numbers that I can't even believe, 300, 400 yards. It's been huge week in and week out for what TC Caffey's been able to do. For me, I the way I interpret it, I look at strength of schedule, and for me, I just think that despite how tough the NE8 is, I do think that Canfield had a little bit stronger of a schedule with more opponents that were kind of big names and big name victories. For me, it's all about defense in this one. I think Canfield has a little bit better defense, and I think Brock Lowry's enough of an X factor on offense. I'm taking Canfield as the victors in this one.
Here's what I struggle with, and obviously, Nick Colbert brings up the South Range game, and South Range dominated Hubbard on defense and shut them out 34-0. I wonder how much of that result was Hubbard just not having a good game, and how much of it was South Range really dominating that battle. I gotta imagine it was a mixture of both, because as good as the South Range is, I just don't feel like they were absolutely 34-0 better than Hubbard. I feel like it should have been a little bit closer than that. I know there were some turnovers that Hubbard had, and I'm sure if Coach Hoffman broke down the film, he could point out a lot of things that they didn't execute the right way, per se. So I know that image of them losing to a really good team in South Range, 34-0, kind of hurts people's image of this game and how they think it's going to go. Oh, well, Canfield, if South Range come down, Canfield's going to have no problem. They've been playing really good defense. I think the law of averages, Hubbard has been running this offense all year. Other than that South Range game, they've been running it to perfection. I don't think this is going to be a Canfield blowout. I don't think it's going to be a Canfield defense that handles TC Caffey and shuts him down completely. That being said, I think Canfield's offense will win this game, and I think their defense will slow down Hubbard enough. But I think this is going to be a Hubbard offense that is going to have some success against this defense at times tonight.
I think the key for Hubbard is their defense is going to need to create offensive opportunities for them. And you can create turnovers on the offensive side. And like Richie said, yes, Brock Lowry is a year older from last year. He's not a sophomore anymore, but he has been shown to be susceptible to turning the ball over in playoffs. And albeit it was against a Chardon team, a much tougher defensive team in Chardon. But if you can create turnovers from this Canfield offense and set yourself up with good field position, I think that's one of the keys to victory for Hubbard. I don't know if necessarily straight up offense versus straight up defense is going to be enough to do it for Hubbard. I think they're going to need to get something on the defensive side, especially in that turnover department. And I think for Hubbard, that key to the victory is just flip field position and create turnovers.
If this game is close at halftime, watch out if you're a Canfield faithful, because Hubbard is a very good second half team, because that offense wears defenses down. You're going up against a physical, hard-nosed running offense, play after play after play after play. You get no passing plays off. It's pretty much just block, 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 block. That can wear a defense down. So if it's close in the second half, we might see that fatigue factor kind of hit Canfield. Like we said, they haven't played in a lot of full games. So, maybe some rust if it gets into the second half and Hubbard is able to wear down that defense. But for that to happen, it has to be close or Hubbard leading at halftime. I don't think they can come back with that mentality or game plan in the second half.
Yeah.
I'm still going to take Canfield, but like I said, I think Hubbard is going to have a lot of offensive success in this game. I don't think it's going to be what we saw at South Range.
It's definitely going to be interesting. I think it's going to be a slugfest, especially in the trenches.
So we go from that, and once again, right now, the fan vote is 74% Canfield, 26% Hubbard. We'll move on to your game, Hoban versus Fitch. Right now, with 42 votes, Hoban has a 62% to 38% advantage in the fan vote on our Twitter page. Ty, you're calling this one, so I'll go and start it. I think Fitch has the pieces to go and beat Hoban. I think they've proven that. They've beaten Canton McKinley this year. And I'm not going to pick against the banner. I think Fitch has gone through their battles. Yeah, they've struggled at times this season. I feel like they've turned the corner from that one struggle spot, and they've won back-to-back games against Warren Harding that have been hard-fought games. I think Fitch finds ways to make plays and gets the win.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at state champs of last year, and with good reason. Hoban was fantastic in D2 last year.
We just saw Crestview push a state runner-up to the brink last night.
Yeah, no doubt. Hoban, though, was also a team that has beaten the number 1 seeded Cleveland Benedictine this year. Hoban's 3 losses came against a 9-0 team from New Jersey, St. Ignatius and St. Ed's. This is a Hoban team that is absolutely the favorite in this one, and with good reason. They come in with a loaded roster with talent literally all over. I mean, they're armored like knights with good reason yet again. They're fortified on that offensive line. They're going to have fantastic protection up front, and I think they're going to be able to create a lot of offensive opportunities. Now, with that being said, this game, I think it's going to be as close as Devin Sherwood, Tyler Evans, Cam Smith, and DJ Mitchell, and throw in that offensive line of Fitch.
Ty Mitchell? DJ
Williams, Cam Smith, Tyler Evans, and Devin Sherwood. It's going to come down to those 4, those big key factors.
You're making the bold prediction that Fitch's playmakers are going to be the difference of the game.
I'm making the bold prediction. No, I'm saying because DJ Williams is going into this as your starting back, likely just because he brings more of that power up front, because they're going to have great tacklers as Hoban. If he's able to establish the run game, it's going to open up the pass game for Fitch. And if that's the case, the main targets, especially down the stretch, that have been getting a lot of attention, Cam Smith, Tyler Evans. Those are Sherwood's favorite targets to throw to on offense. And then Sherwood in of himself has been able to, especially down the stretch these last few weeks, breaking out of the pocket, creating plays with his legs. He's going to need to do that. Biggest key, though, I will say, if I'm going to say one key in that whole group, is just taking care of the football. You can't lose turnovers. We've got to win the turnover battle against this team. And we've seen when Fitch starts getting sloppy, when they fumble the ball a little bit, they are easy to beat then when you're able to flip field position on this team. And when Devin Sherwood's able to take care of the ball, doesn't throw many interceptions, so he does a great job as that. As also when Fitch is able to hold on to the ball and not fumble, I think they have a really good chance of coming away in this one. It's hard for me to pick against the Falcons, and I'm not going to.
Okay, so I'd say don't do it.
I won't do it. I am going to probably pick against a YSN school, but I'm not going to do it here. This is one where I'll fly with the Falcons. I'm going to call up the upset here against Hoban, even though I do think it's a David versus Goliath matchup. I think Hoban's offense is loaded. I think they're going to be dynamic, but if Fitch can force a couple of turnovers and especially win the penalty department, don't force unnecessary penalties and don't give extra yards. You can't afford it against this team. Got to be disciplined.
I'll tell you what, if Fitch is going to have to kick in the second half, like kick off to start the second half, pull the Sean Payton onside kick to start the second half, because Fitch executes their onside kicks really well.
Yeah, the coin toss could be huge for this one, because if Fitch is receiving in the second half, that might change things up a little bit here, as opposed to Fitch getting the ball first. I don't know what the strategy would be if you want the ball first to score. Falcons defense has looked pretty good down the stretch and looked good against Harding and winning in back-to-back weeks. Yeah, this is going to be one of those cases, though. I'm curious on what Fitch would do if they win the coin toss, and what the strategy is if we're going to be hanging hats on defense or offense in this one.
In this game, if I was Fitch and I won the coin toss, I would defer.
I would think so as well. I think second half, with the opportunity of possibly going 2-for-1 to end the half is got to be an advantage for the Falcons, and it's something that was only going to help them being the underdog in this matchup.
All right, we move on to Salem versus Ursulin. Right now, with 11 votes on Twitter, Ursulin has the slight edge, 55% to 45%. So our fans are a little bit torn so far early in the voting, and I'm kind of torn too. Ty, I'll let you start this one off. What do you think is going to be some of the keys to this game, and how do you think it's going to shape up?
I mean, there's big playmakers everywhere. Ursulin, Ja'Kylan Irving, Dean Boyd, DeMarcus McElroy, and Brady Shannon. Over on the other side, we're talking about Jackson Johnson. You're talking about Blaze X-Line. I mean, this is going to be a game where there's going to be a lot of big playmakers in this one, and there's going to be a lot of guys making a lot of noise. For me, both teams have had a very strong schedule going into this season, and they've played some very tough opponents prior to. But for me, I think, and I'm going to agree with Brandon McPherson here, I think Ursulin's played a little bit tougher of a schedule down the stretch, especially picking up Bill Angela St. Joseph, playing St. Vincent St. Mary, and albeit losing both of those games. But if one thing's for certain, I think the defense of Ursulin looked really good last week against Canton South. And if the defense can stay strong, as that was the biggest question mark, I think, for the Irish all season long. If the defense can stay strong and the offense doesn't turn the ball over, this is a very tough team to beat in Division 4. It's going to be very close, and I think Jackson Johnson and Blaze X-Line, they might make me eat my words, and they might shove them right back in my mouth after this game's over. But I'm going to go with the Irish in this one, in a close one.
You know what? I think Salem can beat Ursulin, absolutely. I think their players have the talent. I think they have every piece they need to beat Ursulin. What I'm worried about is that they'll be kind of starstruck because they're playing Ursulin in the ice castle, and the stage is going to be really big. How are they going to handle that kind of mentality? They can't get off to a slow start. They have to be able to, run and score with this offense, because I don't think their defense is going to slow down Ursulin. They're going to have to score with them. So if Salem can stay away from getting caught in the lights a little bit in the ice castle against a big name program like Ursulin, I think they can go toe-to-toe with them. And you know what? I know a lot of people are going to pick Ursulin in this game. I'm going to back the Quakers and give them some love. Go Salem. I'm going to pick them. Quakers win this one in an upset.
I think it's very fair to say that, and I don't even know if I would necessarily call it an upset. I mean, Salem, a 3-loss team, and all those losses, close ones, 2 of them in overtime to Alliance and West Branch, and one very close one, I believe, to Carrollton, I think, was their other loss on the season. So it's still a team that has faced a very tough schedule and has competed with some very good teams, almost beating the number 1 seeded West Branch in that Week 10 game, and looked very good against Woodridge last week. This is going to be a slugfest for sure.
Nick's on my train.
I do agree. The defense was very impressive, and it's going to need to be impressive too. If you're able to force turnovers, and that's the biggest thing, and when Ursulin's lost, and we saw that, and I think what was Ursulin's, worst loss of the year was in that St. Vincent St. Mary's game. What happened was they were able to create turnovers, and how that happened was first and foremost shutting down the running game of DeMarcus McElroy, because if Ursulin can't establish that run and make you respect the run, and they go pass heavy, you can game plan for that. You can bring extra DBs on the field, and you can really start loading the secondary up. And that's what St. Vincent St. Mary's did when they got Ursulin down and forced them into passing scenarios. They just created more turnovers. That's going to be the key to victory, but it starts, you got to contain DeMarcus McElroy, because he's had some huge games this season.
Here's another quick point about this game before we move on. Salem, when you have opportunities to win or make game-winning plays, make them. Because in those close games, the thing that has kind of been the difference is you've had opportunities to go and make a play to win the game, and they just haven't been executed to the right way. So when you get the opportunity to win it or go and make that game-winning clutch play, got to be able to make it.
They can cleanse all those demons in one game tonight.
They've had some demons too. A lot of heartbreaking losses for Salem. I think they redeemed themselves and beat Ursulin tonight. We move on to strength versus strength, and this is going to be a really interesting matchup based on who can control the tone of the game. West Branch's high-flying offense against Poland's very good physical defense, and a Poland team that has been playing for their playoff lives since that loss to South Range.
Yeah, no doubt. And this is going to be a Poland team that's going to come in. They're going to hit a little bit harder. They're going to tackle a little bit rougher, and they're going to let you know that they're there on defense. And this is going to be a little bit different of an animal, I think, in a pace that West Branch isn't going to be too used to seeing, with a very good front seven, strong linebacking core, strong front defensive line for Poland right now. They're going to bring it too. And I can expect a decent amount of blitz packages too that you're going to see, where they're going to bring that pressure to Drew DeShields, as well as some of those linebackers can back up in coverage too and sit in zones. And if they're able to do that, that's going to be interesting on the defensive side for Poland. Poland can win this game if they go on the backs of defense, and that's going to be the biggest thing. And I know that defense has been so impressive this year. It's held its own against some very good offenses this year, and Poland's competed with some very good teams in Hubbard and South Range this year, which were two of their losses, as well as a Campfield team, which was another one of their losses. So they had a very strong schedule. West Branch, though, for me, I don't know, and maybe I'm just biased because I've been picking them the whole season, and I've gotten 11 straight right on these West Branch ones because I pick them every single week. West Branch's offense is just stellar. Stephen Mara, Drew DeShields. I mean, there's just pieces everywhere. And you thought after Brock Hillier left that this team was maybe going to take, you thought maybe a step back on offense, and maybe they're going to be a little bit more of a run-heavy team, and maybe they're still going to be competitive because that's what West Branch does. But Drew DeShields steps up and he's like, no, I got this, and takes it to a different type of promised land and makes an offense that averaged over 40 a game last year even more dynamic. And the biggest thing that I've been impressed with too, I mean, looking at this one, it's going to be tough, no doubt. I think it's going to be a tough one for West Branch, and they're going to have to battle tough with some of these defenses. But I think West Branch has the ability to play strong defense as well, and I think that's going to be a big key. I think West Branch can score enough. I think it's going to be closer than what people think. I'd say if I'm going to give a score, I'd say maybe like 28-17, or if I'm going to say that, if they're going to hold them, if I'm going to go high scoring in, I'd say 41-24. Something in that range for that. But I think if Poland can win this game, they have to keep it low scoring, and that's just something not many people have done. But I go with West Branch in this one.
West Branch hasn't played a defense yet like Poland at that caliber. I'm going to take the Bulldogs, and all of the things you said about West Branch are absolutely true. Drew DeShields is special. He's a special quarterback, and I love when we interviewed him, and we talked about stepping into Brock Lowry's shoes, and he goes, well, I've been a quarterback all my life except for last year. So he was just like, oh, yeah, I've been here, done that. I'm not stepping in these shoes. I've been here for a while. And I was like, okay. Drew DeShields was confident coming into this season. Maybe we should have been watching him a little bit more closely in weeks 1 and 2. But Drew DeShields is absolutely special. He's going to make some special plays. What I think the difference is going to be, I think Poland's going to shut down the run game. And it's going to have to be Drew DeShields constantly making plays, constantly having to bear the burden of keeping this team in the game. I don't know if it's going to be enough. I'm going to say Poland wins because of their ability to stop the run.
It's going to be certainly interesting. And like we said, Brock Hillier last year was a fantastic offensive playmaker, and Drew DeShields has stepped in, and he's able to do that. And I think he has those ability to make those game-winning plays. He's already proven he can against Salem too, and that was a pretty big game in of itself. Biggest thing for this one, I'm looking at West Branch's defense too. If you're able to win those trench battles with Poland's offensive line too, you can hold Poland defensively too. I think West Branch is capable of it. This game can go one of two ways, and it's going to be exciting to see.
On our Twitter account, once again, Running Point at Running Point YSN, West Branch has a slight advantage in the fan vote, 59% to 41%. 32 votes cast so far for that game. So we move on to Gerard versus Perry. Gerard with the upset last week against a Gilmore Academy team on a Saturday afternoon. It wasn't just a win. It was a emphatic, dominating type win. Can Gerard pull it off again against the 4-seed Perry this week on the road on a Friday night instead of a Saturday afternoon?
Perry this season has pitched 4 shutouts against opponents, has held 2 opponents to 6 points and has held 2 opponents to 7 in 8 weeks throughout the season.
Who were the opponents and how good were they?
So looking at their opponents, they held a
with a grain of salt
shutout, 37-0, 5-5 Chagrin Falls, 2-8 Edgewood, 1-9 Orange, and 3-7 Geneva, including holding West Geauga 7-4 opponent to 7 points, holding Riverside a 7-4 opponent to 6 points, Northwest a 6-5 opponent to 6 points, and Madison a 1-9 opponent to 7 points.
Nick says Gerard. By the way, the fan voting on Twitter has Perry up 73% to 27. 11 votes cast for that game.
For me, this one, Perry's looked really good on defense. Gerard has been impressive, though, and they've won 3 straight weeks, 2 including to get them into the playoffs, and 1 including against Gilmore Academy last week. And Gilmore Academy, I mean, as impressive as they were, too, I think Gerard was the first winning opponent since week 1 that they were facing, or opponent with a winning record since week 1 that they faced that season, too. I like Gerard. I like the fact that they're healthy, and I think that they're going to be able to keep this one competitive. Perry came in ranked number 4. I don't know. They've beaten some pretty impressive opponents and some opponents with some winning records. One loss, though, is to Kirtland on the season. It's 30-6.
Oh, shocker.
Yeah, so Kirtland got another win against Perry. I'll lean Gerard slightly with the other upset. We'll see how far they can go. I'm not completely confident, to be honest, but I'm leaning enough for Gerard to pick them, so I'm going to go Gerard in this one.
Company, man, I like it. Way to go, Ty. Gerard, man, their offense is rolling on all cylinders now that they're healthy. Michael Palmer is just having an incredible season, over 1,000 yards on the year for him. I think Gerard pulls off a second upset tonight, and they get the win over Perry. By the way, CJ, Alec, and Matt, a team of 3, will have that game for you in Perry.
Should be a good one.
So now we move on to Saturday's games, and we go down to Garrettsville Garfield, who is playing Bel Air. Fan vote has Garfield with an 83-17 edge on Twitter, 83% to 17%. Garfield struggled a little bit early in round 1 and then put it together, especially in the fourth quarter, scoring 2 touchdowns in the fourth to win 28-13. Do you think they have shaked off their struggles, or do you think that their armor was kind of pierced in that first round matchup?
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Too surprised. Brandon's calling for the upset on Bel Air.
The Wyndham guy picks up against Garfield.
Crestview looked great defensively against Bel Air and came so close to getting the victory. And in that game, I think Crestview could have pulled out the victory if they just made 1 or 2 more plays on offense. Here's the thing. Garfield can score 14 points, and I think they're going to be fine, because I think with the defense that Crestview showed they could play against Bel Air, I think you're going to see that amplified 10 times more, because these amps do go to 11 in Garrettsville, as the G-men are going to crank those amps up to 11 on defense, and I think that's what it's going to be, is a defensive shutout. You might see Bel Air get some scores, but I think in this one that Garfield's defense is going to be able to keep it to a low-scoring affair. I'm going to roll with the G-men in this one.
That game will not be on YSN because Garfield takes care of their football games on Boxcast. We will share a link to that game on Garfield's YSN page, so you'll still be able to get to it through YSN, but a reminder that it is not on YSN. So we have nothing to do with the quality or anything that gets said on that broadcast. It is not YSN's broadcast. It is being run by Boxcast, but you can.
We just like to partner with our friends over at Garfield, though, and they do a great job. They do a great job.
That broadcast is run very smoothly. They do a great job on that broadcast, and they're gonna have a fun time. We move on to the next matchup on Saturday's slate in Division 5. South Range versus Crestwood. Do we have to spend much time on this?
Yeah. I'm gonna pick South Range until maybe next roundish. It might get me to pull. I don't know. We'll see.
You're
It's
gonna
gonna
think
need to be
Garroway's
either-
gonna come beat him?
Huh?
You're gonna pick against him on Garroway?
We'll see. We'll see. I think once we start getting into the Kirtland discussions, it's going to be interesting.
Hush your mouth. Wash your hands. As we had the comment, remember, a couple weeks ago. Wash your hands. Wash your hands.
Yep.
Flies and Scully.
But I'm going South Range in this one easy.
Someone was bold enough to pick Crestwood on the Twitter poll. South Range has a 94% to 6% edge, 17 votes cast, but Crestwood has a vote, so someone thinks they'll pull off the upset.
Hey, anything can happen on any given Friday or Saturday.
We know that, especially when you're dealing with high school football.
Yep.
We go to the next matchup, Brookfield LaBrea, round 2 of this season. We all know how last year's playoff game went, and Brookfield thinks that they didn't really play that well in round 1. In round 1 of this matchup, not round 1 of the playoffs, they played really well in round 1, shutting out United 26-0. What do you think about Brookfield versus LaBrea and what this matchup will kind of entail?
I want to say something first and foremost. When we talked with Coach Armini at the beginning of the season, what he said going into this year with LaBrea, the biggest improvement he wanted to see from last year going into this year, we knew what that offense brought. We knew how dynamic all the pieces were on LaBrea's offense and how much they can score. He wanted to see improvements on that defense. And in that case, we've seen LaBrea not only have 3 shutouts on the season, 1 including against Brookfield, but also various times holding opponents to 21-20, 21-13, 13-8. So, I mean, it's a defense that is vastly improved from last season, and that's a big reason why they're 10-1 with that 1 loss coming to that very, very good Garfield defense. In this one, though, I do think Brookfield's defense has looked fantastic, and we know Randy Clark's a great coach over there. And the last 2 weeks, 7 points, held a good champion team to that record-wise. 2-8 does not speak of how good that champion team was. Held them to 7. Held the EOAC winning United Eagles to 0. That was another impressive game at the playoffs. So this one going into it, I think LaBrea is going to be impressive on offense, and I think defensively they're going to be able to hang their hats in there. And I also think, though, Brookfield is going to be able to contain LaBrea enough to be able to grab a victory. But I think Vikings continue to roll. It's very hard to beat an opponent 2 times in a season, but I think Vikings continue to roll. They're number 1 seed for a reason. It's going to be much closer, and if I'm going to say a score, I'm going to go 28-24 LaBrea.
This one, I think, is going to be tough for people to pick because they, like I said in the Hubbard game, the one score is going to skew the perception of this game. 20-0. Obviously, LaBrea won in the regular season. But if you watch that game, you realize Brookfield was missing a few players. They didn't really play great. They turned the ball over a couple of times. Randy Clark said it in his post-game interview. It wasn't a game where they put their best foot forward. I'm not saying they absolutely will tonight. Like, it's not a given that Brookfield comes out and puts their best foot forward. But I'm just going off the perception that they would, and they do this round. And you know what? I'm going to pick Brookfield with the upset. I think their defense will hold LaBrea. Their defense played actually pretty admirably well in that
The entire season they've played well.
So,
I mean,
this is the defense that held Springfield to 20.
Yeah, and also, I mean, 35-6 victory against McDonald, a 31-12 victory over Western Reserve. I mean, 20-13 over Crestview. So, I mean, very good quality teams this season that they were able to hold on defense. I don't think Brookfield's defense is the question. They need to be able to score points, though, against LaBrea's defense is the big problem going into this one.
Now they have some of their pieces back. I believe in Donovan Pawlowski. I think he's going to make some plays. He got over 100 in rushing and passing last week, so he's a definite dual-threat quarterback, just like Aiden Stevens. This is going to be a fun one, but I think Brookfield gets revenge this time around.
Yeah, and they very well could. I mean, it's going to be an interesting one. Very tough to beat a team twice in a season.
Once again, the Twitter poll has LaBrea with the slight advantage, 60% to 40%, and it's 10 votes. So it's 6 votes for LaBrea, 4 votes for Brookfield. We go to a rematch of a wild insane playoff matchup last year. Norway traveling to Springfield. Do we see this one going down like last year, or do you think Springfield has a little bit more control? Richie thinks that Springfield's going to control this game and not make it as close as it was last year. But Norway plays a really tough schedule for a Division 6 team. What do you think about this one?
Norway does play a tough schedule for a Division 6 team, and if you think that Norway hasn't been thinking about that one play and replaying it over and over and over and over and over in their heads this last year, you're sorely mistaken. However, in this one, and I'm going to continue my promise, and like I said, after they beat Geneva and after they proved it, I'm going to roll Tigers until the very end, so I'm going to roll Springfield yet again as they're going to get the victory.
But you're questioning South Range when they play Garraway if they win.
I didn't say Garraway. I said later in the round.
Next round. You said next round.
I threw it possibly next round. We'll see. No
possibility for anyone to even think about upsetting Springfield, but South Range. I'll think about it. Whatever, Ty. That's just no. I think this is fun for me because we've seen Springfield dominate teams that they're supposed to dominate all season. You know, they've held a stranglehold of that MVAC for years, and they took care of business in the MVAC every week. They came out, they beat the teams they were supposed to beat, and they beat them handily. Now, as the playoffs go on, they're going to start to hit teams, and this is the conversation we have about Springfield every year when playoffs comes around. Okay, they beat the MVAC, but now they're going to hit teams that are more on their level. Last 2 years, they've been able to handle it, and I think that question can't be asked anymore because Springfield has proven, okay, bigger teams, more on our level. We're ready. We're ready to play an actual football game. We're ready to compete. We're able to be in clutch situations. We can make those plays. I think Springfield wins, even if this is close, but I have a feeling that Richie is right this year. I think Norway might have an early advantage because of the energy they're going to bring into it. But I think eventually Springfield rolls.
Yeah, I think Norway, they might keep it close, and you might see a very close first half. I think there's going to be energy. They've wanted this game for a while, and that alone is going to propel them. But yeah, like I said, Springfield after their loss to South Range, and after that week 2 struggle against Brookfield, something's clicked in that new Middletown community, and it's very dangerous to play them right now.
Well, I'll tell you what's clicked is their offensive line playing as a unit in that game. In Geneva, and then the rest of the season, they've really put it together on the offensive line and giving Bro Bruncard plenty of time. So we move on, and this is our only Division 7 team left. JFK playing Cuyahoga Heights on the fan vote on Twitter. Once again, you can vote on Twitter if you go to @RunningPointYSN. All the polls are there for you to vote in if you want to take part in our fan vote. We'll see how you guys do on Monday. So right now the fan vote has JFK with a 92% to 8% edge over Cuyahoga Heights.
Cuyahoga Heights might give you a little bit of a run for your money for a half, if that, but I'm going to go JFK all day in this one.
This is the thing about Cuyahoga Heights. They run a straight up triple option, not like a wing T. They run a straight up A back, B back, full back triple option, and that's hard to stop. But at the same time, it's also hard if you get down to come back.
I think Valley Christian exposed them a lot too on with their defense.
Christian has such a big defensive line. They were able to penetrate that offensive line for Cuyahoga Heights, and really the offensive Heights did not have a good day. They averaged 30 points a game coming into round 1. Valley held them to 16. So
if you're able to replicate that, I mean.
I think JFK's going to run away with this one. And shut down that offense.
Yeah, and I think JFK scores well more than 13 points against the defense of Cuyahoga. I think this is going to be just fine. I'm going to go JFK in this one easy.
This game happening at Mollenkopf Stadium. And now that we've done all of our picks, I'll just run down when these games are and who's going to be on the call. Tonight, once again, $9.99 gets you access to not just one game, but every game on the network that evening. So if, for example, you want to watch Ty go up and call Fitch versus Hoban, you go to that page, you pay the $9.99, but you'll also get access to every game on the network for tonight. So Fitch versus Hoban in Akron. Ty, you'll have the call with Eric Hughes, I think, right? Eric Hughes is coming with you?
I believe so, yep.
And he's been doing Struthers games this year. So he's a great broadcaster on YSN, and that'll be a good team to have. Ty and Eric taking care of you there. Hubbard making the trip to Canfield. Jamie and Romo will have the call along with Gary Niddle. So a team of 3 in Canfield for that big matchup with the Cardinals. Battle of the Birds, Cardinals and Eagles. You go to Poland, they're going to West Branch, and it'll be Mike and Malone both on the call for that one. You go to Salem and Ursulin, it'll be Ian and Trey. They've been this Ursulin guys all year. They'll continue to have the call for you there. Gerard traveling to Perry, it'll be CJ, Alec, and Matt all on the call for that one. CJ's been doing a great job for Gerard games all year, and hopefully they can pull off an upset for him and give him a big run for his money. On Saturday, once again, Garrettsville Garfield is playing, but they're running their Boxcast broadcast, so we will have a link to that game on our page, but it will not be through YSN. So that game will be on 7 o'clock, just like all the others. Crestwood will travel to South Range. DJ and Charles will have the call, Charles Bell, for that one. He did a great job with DJ last week in South Range's win over Rootstown. Brookfield traveling to LeBray. It'll be Billy, Quinn, and Jeff all on the call for that one. You go to Norway and traveling to Springfield on Saturday. Romo, Jamie, and Mike Ackelson will be the broadcast team for that one. So Mike Ackelson will be on the sideline for Springfield and Norway. Cuyahoga Heights going to JFK, and Dom and Jake will have the call there. Once again, Dom has been doing a great job for JFK games all season long. So familiar broadcasters as we get into these really good teams in the playoffs that have been having one solo broadcaster all year. Now we get really good broadcasting teams. So make sure to tune in to all these games. $9.99 gets you access to all the games on the network that night. But once again, you have to, it's per night. So you can't use that $9.99 for Saturday. If you pay tonight, you have to pay $9.99 for each night. But
yeah, so make sure if your game is on Saturday, you buy it for Saturday too. So there's no confusion. You don't want to buy tonight's set of games. If you don't want tonight's set of games, make sure you buy tomorrow night's. And if you want to buy both for the deal, under $20 gets you, what is it, 10 or 9? 9 high school?
9 games, 10 matchups. But, YSN people don't have to pay for Garfield.
Garfield. Nine games under the 9.9. So you're looking at what, $2, less than $2 a game for both nights. So I mean, you're getting a great deal on it too. And I mean, cheaper than if you were to go into the stands. And we know some people are diehards, but hey, once that winter weather comes around, you don't want to go into the stands and you want to be in the comfort of your own home. And hey, we get that as well. And if that's the case, we got you taken care of. And what other program lets you jump around from football game to football game in the area?
Jump around.
Yeah, nowhere else too. The only one else that may jump around better is Wisconsin than us. But I think we're contenders for it right now.
No, we're better than Wisconsin.
You want to go up against the university? We're going to send them a video of all of the YSN staff jumping in the thing that'll go up to Wisconsin.
Me and Scotty are just doing that.
Yeah. You and Scotty are in the background doing that. There you go. Oh, my God.
Oh, man.
Eric, we just have all of you, and we're just hoisting you above it. It's like Quinn, Billy, me, Jeff. That would be great. That would be fantastic.
Oh, man. At Wisconsin, come at us, bro.
But no, $9.99 gets you taken care of for tonight, and $9.99 will get you taken care of tomorrow night as well. Make sure you get the right night for your game purchase, too. And you can check out the other games around the area, too. And hey, with the way that halftime start and with the way that certain commercial breaks are, you could jump around and constantly be watching football pretty much for that entire block of time.
And I would advise getting that ticket early, so you're not rushing at like 6:30 trying to make sure everything works and trying to make sure you're getting the ticket the right way. I would advise getting it early. That way you can troubleshoot any problems you have, and you're not going to miss the 7 o'clock kickoff. So the pre-sale for Saturday is already on the pages for tomorrow, and obviously you can buy tickets for tonight as well.
Yeah, and it's gonna be a great night too on the network as we are eagerly awaiting next round of playoffs to start. Can you believe it? We're gonna get more answers too on our routes to state championships.
And also Saturday, I want to give a shout out to not just Wellsville Volleyball, who's going to be playing Monroeville at Strongsville High School, which I will have the call for, but we also want to give the shout out to Crestview Boys Soccer, who is playing in the regional final as well against, hey, shocker, it's Kirtland popping up yet again. And the boys soccer team from Crestview will try to get to the state tournament as they take on Kirtland. And, as we have a little bit of time before the end of the show, let's take a look at that matchup real quick. This information brought to you with the great work of Steel Valley Soccer. I want to give them a shout out as we break down the Crestview versus Kirtland soccer matchup. You'll look at this is going to be the first meeting between these two programs ever. So there's no really way to kind of see what they've done to each other in the past. The records are 18-2-1 for Kirtland, 19-1-0 for Crestview. Crestview's only loss came to Bay Village, who just beat Howland in the regional semifinals up in Division 2. That was 8-0 to Bay Village. Crestview has a goal differential of plus 122. They have scored 149 goals and only allowed 27. Kirtland has a goal differential of 104 plus 104. They have scored 121 and allowed 17. So it should be a really good one. You look at the leader of Crestview as far as goals. It is Nick Novak, 51 goals, 43 assists on the year. And Marco Valentik is the leader for Kirtland, 35 goals, 31 assists on the year. Anthony Vigil has 40 saves for the Hornets, and Sam Campbell has 73 saves on the year for Crestview. So good luck to the Rebels boys team as they fight for a chance at the state tournament, and good luck to the Wellsville volleyball team as they fight for a chance at the state tournament as well. Hopefully on Monday we can come in and talk about two teams going to Columbus for soccer and Wright State for volleyball.
Yeah, no doubt. And we're so excited, too, to see both of our area teams, too, make their state title runs, as we hope we have a plethora of teams from all fall sports in the state title picture at the end of the season. And hopefully we're going to be talking about some YSN schools bringing back some hardware.
And, I got to say, you got to get the football out.
Yeah.
Feeling like
Absolutely.
It's almost time for football.
As no doubt. And also don't forget too, Basketball Junkies next week, going to continue our interviews with basketball coaches. We're going to still be bringing you boys and girls coaches next week, all throughout the week next week. So keep your eyes tuned for that, as multiple schools going to be covered throughout as well.
Yeah. I don't want to give away everyone that we're the whole schedule, but just to go through a couple of coaches that we will be having. You'll be able to hear from Beaver Local Girls Basketball. We'll be able to hear from LeBray Girls Basketball. Carrie Palermo, the head coach of Mooney, will be on next week. We'll also have Nick Blanche and Josh Sigler. Nick Blanche from Poland Girls, United Girls from Josh Sigler. We'll have Micah Kolmanek from Warren JFK. He'll be joining us. Matt Reel.
Excited to be talking to him too.
Matt Reel from the Canfield Girls program will be joining us. So Scott Silvesco will be joining us. A lot of big
girls.
names. Yeah. So it's going to be a fun week next week as far as basketball previews. Stay tuned to our social medias as we promote our schedules and we shout out when those coaches will be on.
Yeah, no doubt. And we'll keep our schedules updated too, because you never know when some basketball coaches are going to be joining us on the show, as our schedule is growing and we're adding guests constantly too. So your team might just be around the corner. Just you wait and stay tuned to the network.
Want to take the chance to thank Amy, coach of Harrison. I had to stop for a minute. Amy Harrison, the coach of the Middle Ridge girls basketball team, for joining us, as well as Joe Bornemus, the head coach of the Hubbard boys basketball team. They both were able to take the time to preview their teams today on Running Point. We also want to thank Richie Giuliano for taking the time to hop on for a little bit and talk a little bit more about the Canfield-Hubbard matchup from Canfield's perspective. This will do it for the Friday edition of Running Point. The Casual Sports Podcast is coming up next from 2 to 3, and then the Power Hour will get you set for the playoffs from 3 to 4. All the boys will make their picks. You have the fan pick on at Running Point YSN on Twitter. You can always go and participate in that. And we've done our picks. Everyone's doing picks. So we'll have you set for the playoffs, which start tonight at 7. Once again, $9.99 gets you access to all the games. But until Monday from 12 to 2, me and Ty, we're taking a, 70-hour break, if my math is correct.
I think so, yeah. Pretty sure.
We'll be back at 12. Don't worry. We won't skip an hour.
We're going to get you all covered with more hoops.
Ty fades back. And that's the game. And on that note, we'll see.